We had a set of questions ready to go yesterday, but I actually had an email this morning that I read on my computer just before I walked over here. So I'm going to change it up here and ask you something, because this constituent asked me a question that I didn't know the answer to. And obviously, we're all here today to make sure you have the proper resources to ensure national security. And this was a quite an interesting question this constituent asked me. They asked me if I knew the definition of terrorist activity according to the criminal code. Are you aware what that is, Mr. Blair?
I'm going to let the minister answer the question, but does this have some relation to
they want to make sure they have enough money to enforce that statute. And I have it right here, so I can
okay, well, maybe you help out the minister.
Sure. It's an act or mission in or outside Canada that is committed in whole or in part for a political, religious, or an ideological purpose, objective, or cause, and in whole or in part with the intention of intimidating the public or a segment of the public with regard to its security, including its economic security, or compelling a person, a government, or a domestic or an international organization to do or to refrain from doing any act, whether the public or the person, government, or organization is inside or outside Canada. That's the definition. So what this resident wanted to know was if the current illegal blockades that have been happening across Canada are being deemed as a terrorist activity.
No, they're not.
So what would they fall under? Why would they not be intention of intimidating the public or a segment of the public with regards to its security? And again, they wanted to know that. When I looked it up myself, I was curious.
Yeah, one of the challenges of people who read legislation, and it's how the law is applied and defined by our courts and by the police. You know, I will tell you the important work of protecting Canada and the work that we do globally and domestically in dealing with terrorist activity is critically important. But as well in this country, there is a protected right in the Constitution for lawful peaceful protest, and when that protest becomes unlawful, as can be the case either in violation of an injunction or as a result of specific criminal activity. But our officials don't make the immediate nexus in criminal activity to terrorism. Frankly, our officials are well versed in their responsibilities, and the determination as to what conduct might constitute a specific criminal offense, that is not something that I, as a minister of government, would direct. That's a determination made under the individual discretion of the police of jurisdiction in exercising their responsibilities to conduct investigation and the responsibilities of prosecutors of jurisdiction. And so I would not leap to that determination, but leave it to the police and to our prosecutors to determine whether or not any conduct meets a threshold of that level of criminality.
And I agree definitely with proper civil demonstrations. I'm all for that. But when we're seeing certain things like I saw yesterday with burning goods on rail lines across Canada, I thought that may have crossed the line. Exactly where are we determining what's crossing the line then, Mr. Minister?
And again, I've got to be a little bit careful. I was asked this question yesterday, Mr. Shipley, and as the minister, I do have a responsibility to leave it to the police of jurisdiction in the exercise of their discretion to determine and investigate criminal activity. So I avoid pronouncements in defining that activity in respect to the criminal code. I think it's very appropriate that I be careful in doing that, because I do not want to interfere with the operational independence of both the police and our prosecutors. But at the same time, that was terribly unsafe, deeply concerning. I have confidence in the police to deal with it appropriately.